So I love being fat. Like that was the sentence that kind of started the conversation. And here's the thing. The hard thing for me is when I say I love being something, it implies that I'm working hard to achieve it. Hello, Wellness Warriors. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet, Pat Chat Edition. I'm Violet.
And I'm Pat. First question I have for you is historically, before you lost the weight, did you have a problem with your body image?
That's a tricky question because I don't believe that any person can say they've never had a problem with their body image. I think we go in phases, right?
Mhm.
So if I go back to when I was, for example, a teenager, when I was a perfectly healthy weight, did I have body image ideas that were,
Oh,
of course I did.
you did. Okay.
And then when I first gained the weight, did I have ideas about my body? Of course I did. So I feel like I would be lying to say that I never had question marks about, or that I never wanted my weight to be different, or like I can't say that to be the truth.
Okay. Whether you were, like you said, teen at a good weight and later being overweight, like
Right.
it's always a question there.
So like I feel like for
Mm,
every person, there's different phases that we go through and different parts of our life that we're in where when we look at ourselves, we have ideas. And I know looking back at my teenage pictures, I was well from overweight, but yet I remember back then questioning my weight.
mm,
And then I can fast forward to when I actually became overweight in my late 30s, early 40s. At the beginning, again, questioning. However, would I say when I actually lost the weight that I was questioning? No, by that point, I had accepted the weight that I was at and I
okay.
was living my life.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
want to just point something out because we lie to ourselves. All right. And so I'm throwing myself under the bus here. I might have to throw you under the bus depending
Mhm.
on what you say, but we lie to
Okay.
ourselves. Was I wearing a bikini?
Mm.
Was I wearing like
Adjusted clothes.
well-fitting clothing? So we lie to ourselves. We dress in ways to hide ourselves and then say, I'm
True.
fine with my weight, right? But when you look at the difference, because there's a period of time there where I was overweight, where I was wearing baggy clothes, I would never
Mm.
put on a bathing suit, da, da, da. And then you see later where I'm in tight-fitting clothes and I'm wearing bathing suits and because you know
Yeah.
what? Violet needs to live her life. And I accepted where I was and I was living my life.
Mm.
So I do believe that there are certain points in time where I know for myself that I saw it in me. And I know for people that I care about, I saw it in them that they were not comfortable with their weight.
Mm.
So to just say that, like, I feel it happens to everybody. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're overweight. You can also be underweight and not
Yeah.
comfortable with your weight. So I just want to start there because I feel like sometimes we have this impression that only people who are overweight are self-conscious. That's not reality.
No, you're right. Like, well, for sure. Like, even me being much heavier than I'm right now. Like, I was wearing larger clothes. You want to hide stuff, but is it like wanting to hide, or just a question of comfort? Like, I don't know. But like, we were never really preventing ourselves from, like, we always did the stuff we like to do. Like, even we're overweight, we're playing badminton. We always skied. To put some perspective on that, the conversation I was going is one wellness warrior talking about being fat and I think not liking it for himself, and the other wellness warrior was like, "But what's wrong with being fat? Like, I love being fat." And the other like viewer went, "But what's right with it?" And then started the conversation. Can you actually love being fat? Is the first question I'm tempted to ask you.
The one thing that I will say forever is that I would rather be fat than diabetic. The positive about being fat sometimes for many people is it's still a way for your body to manage the excessive amounts of carbs that we're eating. But beyond that, everybody's going to have a different look that they like. So if I look at myself and I like the way that I look, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem that I feel like is in this conversation is that we have one person who's saying, I don't like the way that I look and I'm trying to get back to a better weight for themselves, and the other person then calling that person fat phobic for not liking how they personally look overweight. So now, and I'm using that specific word, overweight. Overweight is the weight that above what doctors believe is a healthy range for a human of a certain sex,
Mm.
male versus female. The number for a 5 foot tall man is different than the 5 foot tall woman.
Hmm.
Research has shown that if you fall within that range, the chance that you're going to have metabolic or like you're going to have health problems is less. So now I'm going to go to, would I prefer to have a weight problem than a metabolic problem? Of course, that's my body taking care of me. How I feel I look at each of these weights is going to depend on me. I will tell you, again, Caribbean background. I like Violet a little bit on the heavier side than on the skinnier side. When I'm on the skinny side, I feel I look sick. So like it's important for us to understand that there's no one right answer. Does it mean that I would encourage somebody else to be overweight because I like the way that other person looks overweight? Like, so if we get into these arguments and we start calling it phobic and it's like what I like to look at, I'm allowed to love to look at whatever I want to look at.
Yeah.
Does it mean that I'm phobic of something else? Difference.
Reading that conversation, the first thought that I have, like, of course, you said you can like yourself a certain way, whether it's a little bit overweight, a little bit thin, whatever, like it's your own body image. In that conversation, what came up is that the person that loves being fat is also very sick. But we're not sure. And even she mentioned that like her sickness is caused by being overweight. So maybe I'm gonna be like rough, rude here, but like, is liking being fat not wanting to put the effort to get in better health?
So sometimes what I think I see happening is that we have a situation where we confuse acceptance with giving up. I accepted the weight that I was at when I was overweight. I accepted it. But I was still healthy for my knowledge. I mean, I was not aware. So I was still healthy for my knowledge. And I wanted to continue to live my life. As soon as I was no longer healthy, accepting the weights went away. I was, nope, I had to change it. Okay. Versus what I feel like sometimes we confuse giving it. So I guess I'm just going to be like this and I'm going to end up this way and there's nothing I can do and I'm just going to suffer. And when we do that, we're giving up. We're not accepting that this is where we are. We're saying, I can't change it, so I might as well roll with it. And then what happens when we give up? A lot of the times when we give up, we actually make things worse.
So that's interesting. I'm going to read like a little bit of the conversation just for you guys. I'm into getting healthy since I'm chronically ill. I will never be really healthy since I have multiple illnesses that are incurable and actually caused by my weight gain. Mm-hmm. Incurable, like that like kind of
the same
like
way that diabetes is incurable.
Yeah, like it is.
So this is part of the problem. When we call something incurable that's curable, then we don't try to solve it.
That's giving up. Like just that's when that.
But many doctors say diabetes is incurable. That's not true.
How many doctors say that? Okay. Yeah.
Right. It's reversible. Absolutely.
Oh, because they want to sell you the pills. And
well,
like,
but also because they do not believe that people will do what they have to do to solve their problem. You would actually have to stop eating carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't think you're going to do it. So they say, oh, you have diabetes, it's incurable. This is what you need to do next. And you take this medication forever and da-da-da-da. And I feel like perhaps this person is in the same situation where they've been told that it's incurable and this is your path and they're living their life that way when maybe, so I don't know what, see, there are possibilities that would suggest that it's incurable. If I get to a state where my liver is in a cirrhosis that's irreversible, yes, it's incurable. Like if I can't, like there's certain points at which the damage is done, then the damage is done, and like
cancer,
and you exactly. So it depends. If you've got cancer everywhere, if the damage is done, the damage is done. The question is, what incurable scenario is this person living? Is it really that it's incurable, or is it one of those, I don't think they're going to do it, so let's put them on the medication? Like maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Part of the problem that I think I see when we talk about this idea of calling somebody fat phobic because they don't want to be overweight is that you're assuming that because I don't want to be overweight, I don't want anybody, not that I don't want, but like I'm offended by people who are overweight, which is not the same thing. I can not want to do anything. Like, I mean, honestly, I don't want to have an operation. Am I offended by people who've had operations? Like, there could be any number of things that I don't want for me that other people, maybe you want to go tanning in the. I don't want that for me, but if you want to do it, go for it,
Mm.
right? So I feel like the other thing that we have to do here is separate this idea of what I don't want for myself, meaning that I'm saying no for other people, because that's not what this person seemed to have been saying in the comment. In the comment, the person was talking about their history, their situation,
Yeah.
and saying, this is what I want for myself. And this other person comes in and says, you're being
Felt,
fat phobic.
felt attacked. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what does that say? Is that insecure?
Mm.
Right? And I feel like insecurities are, first of all, one of the number one reasons that we give up on ourselves, because we think we can't accomplish something. And also because we don't feel good enough to stick with the work that it would do. Now, again, this person has so many challenges in what they've written.
But it's interesting. Let me just cut you a little bit here. I agree with you. Clearly, there's some insecurity there, but like loving being fat is just a way to compensate. Maybe you're so insecure because, like, you're right. Like even later in the comments, there's like two sides here. So there's one side where it's incurable. I never will get healthy. I'm on too much meds. I have this body. God gave it to me, and I love being. Versus the idea of I love being fat. But at the same time, you love being fat, but you love being sick. Like, and it's pretty clear or semi-clear that one is caused by the other. So I'm not sure. Like,
So I guess maybe the question that you're trying to ask is, like, when you say like they're incompatible, I guess the question is, who does this person blame for their weight? Are they taking responsibility for the fact that I ate a certain way and my weight went there? Now, maybe this person has been overweight from little teeny, right? And they've always been overweight, in which case, can I fully blame myself? I guess my parents are involved in that and society's involved in that, and it's all by, right? But I mean, ultimately though, today, as an adult, if I'm still eating this way, that falls on me. So, like, we're bringing my beliefs into it, I guess, at that point. Like, if this is the body that I was given, I have to manage it. And sure, I'll go there with you, right? If I believe that I was put on this planet for this purpose, and I'll go there with you. But then ultimately, if I truly believe that, what am I supposed to get out of this situation? What am I supposed to learn or share? Or how am I, through my life, helping others to because if you're going to bring religion into this, then God put me on this planet for what? To help others. At least that's my belief, right? And so therefore, what I'm going to say is, maybe what we're supposed to get out of this is that if I'm not willing to put in the work necessary to change my life, I won't change my life. Am I willing to put in the work? Because I feel like the thing that I hear throughout the conversation is, this is how it is, leave it. But that's not what I understand from my learnings. What I understood from my learnings is that you'll be put in a position where if you choose well, you will get the results you're trying to get. Are you choosing well? Because that's not what I hear. I hear someone said something about themselves and you took it to be about you. That's not choosing well, right? And that's where the insecure for me comes in too.
Like hearing that and reading that story, like I think your why you do something should belong to you. So you feel attacked somehow if you get called fatphobic because you want to look a certain way. If that person that loves being fat and is okay with that, I feel in that situation she doesn't really hone her whys, whereas the other person actually does.
So it's interesting because you're talking about this from the two sides, and I think each person has their different reaction to the conversation that shows the same thing. So on the first person's part, that you said you want to look a certain way, and then I'm saying you're fat phobic when you haven't said anything to me about my weight. But on this person's side, that someone saying, fat phobic made them even go forward in this conversation. Like why do I care if you think I'm phobic of fat? Like I'm just telling you how I want to be. Why is this even a conversation? Why didn't we just put it down?
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like on both sides there, so when we feel attacked, we are much more likely than to come out swinging rather than try to kind of back up and say, okay, where's this coming from? Because in both cases, we're not talking about each other. We're talking about our own personal experiences.
Yeah, there were no attacks actually at all in that.
So I love being fat. Like that was the sentence that kind of started the conversation. And here's the thing. The hard thing for me is when I say I love being something, it implies that I'm working hard to achieve it. And my question here is, are you saying that you love being fat and actively go out of your way to eat extra stuff to make sure that you gain weight? Or are you saying that you don't know how to stop being overweight, which is kind of like everything else you've written says that, but then you're saying I love being fat. Like truthfully, if I loved being strong, I'd be in the gym more often. I don't. That's why I'm not in the gym. I do love being smart. And what you see me doing all the time, learning stuff. I'm constantly, if I don't have a new book going, I have a new topic going, I'm investigating. Like I can't do anything simple. I'm making coffee and I have to know the precision of, like, I can't do any, like, I love learning stuff, right? And when you love something, you invest in it. So for this person, like when you say, I love being fat, it makes me feel like you're saying that I invest in that, but then you turn around and say nothing I did solved the weight, nothing. So I feel like there's a contradiction there. And I go back to what you said earlier. I think it's an excuse because, or not even excuse, I think you've given up. You've given up and you don't know what else to do. And so the answer is just saying, well, I just love this. This is what I want. But you know, sometimes I have people in front of me, they're saying, I just love being alone. And you know what? I leave it alone, usually, because I like being alone. I take time alone all the time. Do I love it? No. Like eventually I seek people. You'll be surprised how I'll have people say, I love being alone. I love it. And eventually, if I listen long enough, at some point I hear I was lonely and I needed to go find people. That comes through in the story, because sometimes we just use the wrong word, right? Do I love it or do I like it? But I equally like being with people. I know for myself, I didn't mind being overweight at certain points. Did I love it? Did I like it? No. But I accepted it. That was where I was at the time. But if someone would have said to me, snap your fingers, you're going to be a normal, I would have done it. I feel like this is a conversation where we're kind of watching two people argue about not what we're actually talking about. And it's hard when you're doing things through text or emails or whatever, because we don't actually get to the bottom of what's happening there. It's frustrating.
Yeah. If by any chance we help other wellness warriors and viewers that are watching that video, that they realize that maybe they gave up on something, what would be my next step? Like seek help, put in effort.
I mean, honestly, like, sure, you can go see someone, but like, I feel like in order for me to get help from anyone, whether it's a doctor, a psychologist, a lawyer, like I need to be willing to put in the effort, right? Like I can't just go see someone without being willing to do something for myself. I feel like that's the hard thing here, is that in this conversation back and forth, if the professionals are saying to this person, you're done, it's over, this is what it is. Okay. Where do I have to go from there? All I have left is to love the life I have in front of me. So this is where it's like, I don't know. I read this conversation back and forth, and my first thought is it really over? Like, is it really? Like, whatever you have is just done? I don't know.
Maybe seek a second opinion at this point. Maybe, I don't know.
And maybe that is part of the answer, is that there needs to be a second, a third, a fourth, a 15th. You know, I have to say, and this is something that I say out loud because I want people to think about it. You know, if I go to 3 doctors and all 3 doctors are telling me, oh, this is not curable, and it's something that is bothering me, I might just go to that 4th doctor that fit. Like, what happens if it's the 17th doctor that says, oh, yeah, you could do this, and I do it and it works? Like, I feel like sometimes we need to understand that unless that answer works for you, it's not the answer. And I'm not suggesting to ignore what the doctor's saying either. But I'm saying, sometimes, so I'll use myself as the example. How many times have I gotten the answer, you're just going to have to live with it? Not giving me any medication, not giving me any kind of cream or potion, just saying, yeah, you just have to live with it. I didn't like that answer. And what did I do? I pushed until someone else gave me an answer. And guess what? I solved the problem because there was another. So, obviously, if there's a known path that's the solution, there's a known path that's the solution. I don't know here because we don't have enough information. All I do know is I hear someone who sounds very stuck, right? And I don't know if that stuck is 100%. Like, is it done? Obviously, setting appropriate goals is important to being able to achieve what you want to achieve in your life. Whether we're talking about health, in this case, financial, friends, relation. Like, if you want to be able to be successful, you need to know how to set appropriate goals. We have a video on the screen right here that's going to help you to do exactly that. Wellness Warriors, I'm always so happy that you come back. Everybody's new. Welcome.
And please share the video with all your friends who might be helpful. And like and subscribe and ring the bell.
I want to thank you for watching Mind Blowing Health and Wellness Violet Pat Chat Edition. Can't wait to talk to you guys again next week.
Talk to you next week.